it seems like we can, as we have been together for a long time. 'Cause
we finish each other's sentences sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we get dressed in the dark, and then we turn the lights on. We got the same colors.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how many times that happens.
Dude,
that's crazy.
Again.
So I think what you're saying is really interesting, and so there are a couple things that we tend to do. One, I always try when you're leaving to be around, to give you a hug and a kiss, and we might pray together before you get on a plane or whatever it is, just that connection, so that I'm the last. I don't want you to leave the house without having connected with me, touched me, hugged me, whatever, right?
Yep.
Welcome. This is For Better and Worth,
the podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Ericka Young, and we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all, let's get into it.
Hey, babe.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
Yeah, we
back at it.
Yes, and
tag team back again.
Was I supposed to say something? Did I miss a cue?
No. A lot of people not gonna know that. I mean, people our generation, they gonna know that song from back in the day.
So yes, we are back at it, and I'm feeling pretty good. This is a nice, chill day. We got some stuff done this morning, and we're hitting the airwaves. And we were talking about, you're back in town. You're here for a couple weeks. You don't have any work travel, and it got us to
bless God.
Yes, praise the Lord. And it got us to talking about your work travel and how that kind of impacts our relationship, or how we have to kind of be intentional.
And I think any relationship where one person travels for work, or even just has a job that is a demanding job from a schedule perspective, because we have friends that he was a firefighter, and firefighters work like 24-hour shifts. And so that's like, to me, that's like work travel too. But there are people who have like jobs that have requirements that take you away from home. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes that can put stress or strain on relationships if you don't figure out how to navigate those times and how you're going to move.
Yeah.
And especially when you have like kids, that are in the mix, and people always think like when their kids are little, oh, I don't want to travel. But I'm like, man, it's almost better. Learning from experience, I think it's almost better to travel when kids are small.
Say more. Why?
Because the kids, they miss you, but they don't realize as much when you're gone.
But it's harder on the parent at home.
I was about to say, but the impact on the other parent that's left caring for them could be harder.
Yeah.
Because when you have little kids, you're providing all of their care.
Yeah.
And you got to take care of them. But like older kids, I mean, as kids get older, they just have a lot of stuff going on.
That you will miss out on.
That you want to be there for. Mm-hmm. And I think it's more significant because they notice when you're not there, and it impacts them in ways that, you're not being there for, a kid that's sub 5, 6 years old, they won't recognize as much. But 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, they're like, where are you?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that also speaks to when you have good relationships with your kids, they want you to be around. But let's back up. So weren't.
I said something that you were like, hold
on. No. I just want to back up and give context to the fact that like you chose a job, back long time ago. How many years have you been in this industry?
Ooh, man, like 20.
So our kids were young. All right. So if it was 20 years, our kids were 1 and 5. So I think when you
1 and
when you left, so here's the deal. When you took this job, the training for that job was
you had to be gone for like several weeks.
Study to, you got to learn all this information and all this. And so they took you to like the headquarters area. You stayed in a hotel and you were there for 3 weeks. And I was, and I think the girls were actually 2 and 6, maybe is what I'm thinking was what it was. But so obviously I still had one who was potty training and one who just started, schooling. And so it was an interesting time. And that I was a little apprehensive about it. I didn't want you gone for 3 weeks and I didn't know what that was going to look like. And two, we didn't have any models. We didn't have anybody in our family. Our parents didn't, travel like that.
They didn't have those types of careers.
Yeah. So I just didn't know what to expect. And I was concerned for, one, the amount of work that I would have to do with the girls by myself, but also just you and I, and being disconnected for 3 weeks, because I was told, literally, I remember hearing this from someone or reading this in the book, where you just don't have days or nights away from your spouse. Like, if you can possibly do it, travel with them, and and vice versa. And that was just not going to be able to work with that type of job.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's funny how life works, because you live long enough, you get enough experiences down the road, you can reflect and look back and just see your former self and see your today self. And I think our former selves, I wouldn't say we were in a box, but we were like in a box in our conservative, like strict, traditional,
rigid,
strict type of thinking. We were young, a young family, young Christians, and there was not a lot of leeway. It was like literal.
Very much so.
And now looking back on my younger self, it's like, I don't know, everybody knows that, once you hit that big age, it's like, I just don't care no more.
But that wasn't the thing back then.
I know. I wasn't in it. I don't care no more.
Yeah. But were you excited? Because I feel like you were more excited, and I was like, oh, God, I don't really want you to leave.
Yeah, I was excited because I was going down a path that I was interested in, that I had worked really hard to get to. And so, and it was going to have an impact for our lives, for as far as a career. And I know people are like, well, what are you talking about? But there's a lot of jobs out there that require you to go away for training. And when I got into, healthcare and the pharmaceutical industry, it was, a pretty laid out training format, and
were you worried about the impact to our relationship at all?
I don't think I ever was concerned about that. But I think, like, we're talking about this because, like, we talk a lot about money and relationships, but you got to have a solid foundation in relationships if you're going to endure and stand the test of time, and not let things come up like money or other outside interferences deter your relationship. And so I don't think I was ever particularly concerned or worried about it, because, we had a solid foundation, and, we had good communication, even though we were establishing it and building.
Yeah, we were about 7 years into our marriage or thereabouts. And I can honestly say, looking back, there was an insecurity within me for sure. I will not go into details about how there were that season of life. I was a new wife, a new mom, and there was a lot that I was uncertain about in terms of, can I do certain things and can we overcome certain things? I didn't have experience that told me yes. You had a confidence that I didn't have in that way. And you also probably
I got that swag.
Oh, Lord. See, this not what we talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
See,
I got a little.
You always got a little song for something. You know what I'm saying? You always got to move the shoulders. But yeah, you did have a confidence around, it's gonna be fine type of attitude, and I was like, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know what that means. Good. Thank you, baby.
Yeah, you were talking. I was like,
you want to smell smoke?
I was like, you smell good. Like, what is that? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm all over the place.
You are. See, I'm trying to be serious and talk about the impact
I
of
know.
this.
I'm sorry.
So
Okay. All right. Back
now
to
my hair coming out. You got my hair falling.
back to
Listen.
the message at hand. I'm gonna be.
So
This is my serious face.
so listen. So you had a confidence, but you also were, but you were more carefree in your approach, and I think it's because you were the person who got to go experience it. And so there
Yeah.
was this, and I don't know if I really had this part of it, but I was like, but he gets to go away and be away from all of the
Right.
having to do the chores, taking care of people and like cooking and cleaning, all the stuff. He got to go away, and there was just this resentment almost that I probably
That's so
had
funny. That's so funny.
about you being gone, because I'm like, I got to do it all, and he gets to go essentially have this vacation, but it was not a vacation. You're
Right.
working.
Right. It was no vacation.
But I think that's how
Yeah.
people are when when one spouse is gone, or routinely or what have you, and you have a family. Like, because I was working and had to take care of the
I think
kids.
it's funny when in relationships you have one person who does a lot of work or business travel and one person who doesn't. Because the person who typically doesn't is like, oh, you get to go off and do all this stuff and have fun, but it's like it's work. It's still work. We may get to do some fun things once in a while, but it's still like work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I'm off at a work trip, it's like I get back to my hotel room, I'm exhausted because it's like it's a lot of peopling.
And you know what? I honestly, you have been traveling for 20 years. And I
Yeah.
don't think that I had a full understanding of how much work it is until the last few years. I don't think
When you
I
started going with
cared
me.
to understand. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very clear here. I don't think I cared to understand how much work it really is until, yes, I started going with you. And then also I started doing travel of my own, and to see how
Hmm.
tiring that can
Then
be.
you were
I had
like,
a different level of
right. Then
respect
you were like, wait a minute, this
for it.
sucks.
Well, and for me, I don't think it sucks as much because I don't do, still to this day, don't do near as much as you do.
Yeah.
And so for me, sometimes it is like I've been able to travel and you come with me, or last year I had a friend come with me on a speaking event trip, and like it's different in
Hmm.
the nature of the work that I'm doing is different, but it's still taxing to get on a plane or to drive somewhere and to stay in a hotel
Right.
and all the navigating that you
Have
have
your
to
flight
do.
delayed
Yeah,
and
like all
you
that
got to
stuff.
pivot. And, I've worked all day if I'm at a conference or I'm meeting with, various customers or just doing whatever it is that, whatever job I've held over the years has required. It's like, but then, you're at an airport and first thing I do is pull my computer out and I'm like checking my email, sending emails, or I'm making phone calls or doing whatever it is to maintain continuity of what I would do if I were back in my home office. So it's like I'm doing something while I'm in a locale or a location, and then I'm trying to maintain the continuity of what my daily workload is. So it's like finding balance. So it's like it's not just all fun. It's like, well, man, I open my email, I got 75 emails. It's like, geez, I gotta work through these, but it's just I think the bigger thing here is when you talk about relationships, there's a lot of give and take in relationships. And you have to find a balance between, financially, is this the right thing for us to do? As this going to benefit our family? And if it is, then how do we manage our relationship? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think the bigger things that we're getting at, whether you are two people working in a household and you work locally, or you're one person that's the sole, provider, whatever the case is. I think there's some fundamental things that people have to really just start to work on in relationships. And that is being open, having conversations about how you feel, about what's going on, what your thoughts are. Because one thing I can't do is read your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it seems like we can, as we have been together for a long time, because
We finish each other's sentences sometimes.
yeah,
Yes.
and we get dressed in the dark, and then we turn the lights on. We got the same colors.
Yes.
Like,
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe how many
I'm
times that
like,
happens.
dude,
That's crazy.
again.
So I think what you're saying is really interesting because and so there are a couple things that we tend to do. One, I always try when you're leaving to be around to give you a hug and a kiss and we might pray together before you get on a plane or whatever it is, just that connection so that I'm the last. I don't want you to leave the house without having connected with me, touched me, hugged me, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And when you call, I try and be available, right? Like, so I think, and we're all busy and all of that, and we don't talk a lot when you're gone. Like, we might talk for 15 minutes or 20 minutes a day when you're on travel, but I need to make myself available. So if I've missed your call, I need to call you back.
Yeah.
I think those things are important. You're really good about texting me, hey, honey, I'm about to go down and have breakfast. Just wanted to say, have a great day. You just did that the other day. And those things, I notice that stuff. And we have to make it, I'm always looking for, like, what time are you going to leave? And I ask that so that I can be around and talk with you or have breakfast or whatever it is that we're doing before you leave. And I have found that it helps us stay grounded in one another when you're leaving. And then when I leave, you just take me to the airport. So we all
Right. Somehow, whenever you go on a trip,
you
I'm dropping off and picking up.
exactly. So you notice I sent you an email just recently because I just got a plane ticket for when I'm going out next week, next month.
Right, and I was like, but whenever I go, I don't ever seem to get dropped off and picked up unless I schedule an Uber.
The company is paying for that.
I get it.
am my own company.
Yeah,
so if you take me, that's less money out our pocket.
I understand, but it's like, a brother want to be dropped off once in a while and picked up.
Every blue moon. And then
Yeah.
So anyway,
every blue moon. But I think the bigger thing that we've learned over the years is, like, we establish a cadence.
Yeah.
We know, I know you're busy when you're home, because it's not like you're at home doing nothing, even though, it's you and the dog, or, the kids aren't here. But I know you have a busy schedule. And so I've established a cadence, like, hey, I'm going to check in, in the morning before I get going. Usually if I'm away, I hit the gym, and then I come back, and before I get moving, I'll check in with you. And then, before I hit dinner or something with my colleagues or customers or whatever the case may be, I'll check in with you.
And you always let me know if it's going to be real busy.
Yeah.
And we might not talk. Yep. Like you always say, yeah, this is going to be a full day. And I'm already prepared.
I'd rather set the expectation.
Yeah.
And so you don't think like, man, why ain't called me or this or that. And I think that's just come with time and experience. And look, I'm coming home.
Right.
So.
Yes. And sometimes you come home and what do you say? Lucy.
Oh, hello, Lucy.
No.
Lucy, I'm home.
Yes. Hey, Ricky.
Lucy, I'm home.
So
sometimes though, I come home and I'll be like on 10,000.
Oh my God! And I'm like, take it down, sir.
I done played my music, my hype music, all the way home, and I get home and I'm like, "What's up, everybody?"
Oh my!
I come in like the Tasmanian devil, just
it's
a tornado.
It's a lot. You be ready to like be at home and be excited, and we chilling over here.
Because I would have been gone sometimes for a while, and I'm like, man, I'm so glad to be home.
Yeah.
And y'all like, look, bro, you almost ready to say when you leaving again, because it's a lot right now. You came in hot.
Yeah, you come in excited. So, but for me, I think that there has been a real progression because at the first opportunity that you had to leave, I was nervous because I was like, I don't know, I don't want you to be gone, and you haven't been gone ever again for 3 weeks.
Nah.
Usually it's a few days. Man. Right. Usually it's a few days. Like,
I like sleeping in my own bed.
Right.
My own sheets, my own towels.
Yeah. So it's like Nowadays, it might be 3 days, 2 days, one night. Sometimes it's one night, but whatever the case, like it varies, but it's really not that long. And it's never like a full 7 days. But there was this progression. So in the beginning, when you would travel, it was like, yeah, the kids were young and I had to just get used to it. That was like the biggest thing for me is like, okay, let me get used to this newness. And then the second thing I had to do was to, learn to take advantage of the time. And that's like a big part of the time that you've been traveling is just okay, so I can read a book tonight, or what can I do, with the kids if when they were here. And um sometimes when I was running, I would just take a bath. You know what I mean? Like I would
Yeah.
just it would be a little bit more self-care. So how can I take advantage of that time? And sometimes it's like getting a few things done that I might not have been able to get done before because I actually when you and I are together, we spend a lot of time together. We do
Right.
stuff together, we
Right.
talking, we, whatever it is. And
Yeah, we do
so
a lot.
when we're not, sometimes, anyway, so that's another thing. So I
I
had to
think.
get used to it. And then
Okay, I'm gonna let you
the
finish.
third thing was when the kids left, I every so often would go with you and you would come with me. So I started traveling as well and started to appreciate the benefit of us trying to do that together,
Hmm.
and also um, just enjoying that like we can flip flop and that part. So that's been in the last couple of years. It's
That's
like
been kind of
okay,
cool.
it's
That's
been
been
kind of
cool.
cool,
Yeah,
yeah,
I will admit that's been cool to go on trips with you because I work remote, so if I go on a trip with you, I'm still working.
yeah,
And I remember I went on a trip with you, and I was like in the hotel room
yeah,
the whole time, like on Teams calls, on this, on various conference calls. So it's like I'm not on vacation. I'm just working in another locale, But
hmm,
then we can do things together in the evening. But what I also learned, and it's interesting, like as people watch this on YouTube at forbetteronworth.com or for Better on Worth channel, as people watch or listen, I think that I just want them to understand that like relationships require work.
hmm,
And when you spend a lot of time together in a relationship, I love spending time with you. And when we come home or when I'm home, like you said, we do spend a lot of time together. But it's so funny that sometimes when I travel and it's just me, solo dolo, even if I'm with coworkers, we may go eat dinner or something, then I like find ways to disappear.
yeah,
And I disappear back to my room.
hmm,
And I'd be in my room like watching TV,
hmm,
like chilling.
yeah,
And sometimes I just like that moment where it's almost like just a moment of quiet to myself. And I never knew that like I needed quiet moments by myself. And I would hear people say, I just need my alone time. I'd be like, why you need alone time? And I never used to feel that way.
yeah.
And so I think as I've matured and gotten older, I was like, man, it's just cool to just, slow down, relax. And like if I'm just sitting here watching TV, we not battling over the remote control or stuff like
Same.
that.
I feel like
Yeah.
I feel the same now. Like I feel like when I'm here by myself,
You
I
can
just
watch
have
all your
yeah, I
shows.
have agency over what I do and if I want to go kick
Yes.
it with a friend or if I want to do whatever. And so I think and there's no one there to like sort of check in with. You're just kind of like, "All right, well, I have this time freed up, and so and maybe you do nothing and maybe you do something, but it's neat to have. I feel like we've both gotten some time back to ourselves, so I don't ever feel like
It's very interesting that we both felt this way
yeah,
because I love you and I love spending time with you but it's like relationships evolve.
we still need time alone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't know. I just as I reflect on it, I'm like, man, it's interesting that we both kind of feel that way. It's like it's not like I get tired of you or anything like that, But it's like
you can't get
sometimes
tired
it's.
of me. Like I'm easy. Like this is I. I don't know why you would get tired of me. You know,
I mean, I
I'm sure you don't get tired of me.
I
Tired of me, right?
I, I think Jay-Z get tired of Beyonce sometime.
Why would he
I'm
get
sure she get
tired?
on his nerves sometime.
I don't. I don't understand what you're talking about. You know,
Okay.
you don't get tired of perfection. You know what I'm saying? You know what? I'm only saying that because I know that's what you would say. Okay, I need you to just play along.
I know you get tired of me because
You,
I play too
you,
much. I play too much.
you
I
do.
already know.
You are the king of play too much.
Right. I already know I play too much. So
You,
you like
yeah.
you don't have to tell me no more. When I'm doing something, I'm already like
You, you
this
are.
play too much
Wait a
activity right
minute.
here.
You're like, ooh, this is play too much activity. Let me go ahead and play too much
I
now.
already know.
You be trying some new stuff out. You be like, yeah, this is gonna be good. She gonna be sick of me in 2 seconds.
It's just funny to me. It's just entertainment for
It
myself.
is. Why
So
am I the end result? What is it? The recipient of all of your entertainment. See, this is why
no, no.
kids are a buffer. This is what I tell people. Kids are a buffer. You know, from
Oh
all the
man.
craziness that your spouse could be bringing to the world. You
Yes.
know, and like
But you know what? It makes life interesting
it does.
because
It does.
life could be boring, or we could be arguing about
You're
stuff,
right.
or we could be letting the stressors of life get to us. But I just feel like I've adopted the mentality that I'm gonna just go through life laughing,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that way I don't take anything too seriously. I don't take myself too seriously. I don't take you too seriously, and I just don't take situations too seriously. Now I can get serious,
We know this.
because I can flip the switch and be capable of things.
And we don't have to go down that path,
Right.
babe.
Right. But like that's why I try not to take stuff too serious. Just be lighthearted because
Mhm.
it's less stress on your body. You keep your cortisol levels low and in check. But I think as we talk about money and the nuances of relationships, those two things can like stress anybody out.
Yeah.
And it's this yin and yang, it's this flow that you have to learn almost to master.
Hmm.
And I won't even say master because at a mastery level does it means you don't have to work at it anymore.
Right.
And I don't think there's ever a point, no matter how long we're together on this earth, I don't think there's ever a point where we will reach mastery because you have to always continue to find that balance and that flow and that opposite, that yin and yang effect where you can balance each other out.
Hmm.
And so I think it's just interesting
Do
as
you
we evolve.
do you feel that absence makes the heart grow fonder?
Absolutely, I definitely come home and feel like I've missed you or
But okay, let's flip the script. What if you never had travel and I never had travel?
hmm
Do you feel like it would change
I say
how we
why don't
love one
you I say
another?
why don't you go in the basement for a few hours?
So you do still need some type of space, even if it's just a few feet, right? I don't know how they do it in New York with these tiny little apartments. I don't know how they do it because
Especially how did they do it in COVID when everybody was working from home and
I mean the divorce rate went up. Let's be
yeah.
honest, it really did. Okay, because people were like, "I'm not used to being here with you, and I'm not sure I want to be."
I
They
think it's interesting, like when forced to be in proximity with your partner, you either lean in or you were like, you know what, I'm out. This is not what I signed up
we
for.
had a good time, honestly, because when the four of us were together during COVID, I think we really enjoyed ourselves, and
Under the circumstance, I think we had a good quarantine
we
experience
didn't. No one
together.
got sick during that time. We did
Yeah.
eventually get COVID later on, but during that time, none of the four of us got sick, and we got closer. And then I think
We were already a close family, but I think it further united us as a
yeah,
unit.
but like I think not going anywhere taught me to appreciate like when you aren't here. I do think that absence makes the heart grow fonder too, because I don't want to be without you. You know what I mean? Like
hmm
I can respect the fact that you have a job that causes you to travel, and thankfully, I mean, sometimes it's just on the road. You have to drive somewhere, and sometimes it is on the plane. But like it's not so much. Like, you're never somewhere for a full week twice a month. That's not happening.
Yeah, no, I'm
And
not
but
signing up for that.
so I appreciate, like, when you come home, like, I'm ready for you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like emotionally I've had a little moment, or I feel like I definitely have matured in this
Hmm.
process. And I can appreciate when you're gone, and it helps me to think about, like, things that I can do myself. And then I can appreciate when you're here, because I'm like, I'm thankful that I have a husband that I want to spend time with. You know what I mean? So
And I come back with stories, and you
you have
know,
all the stories.
yeah, I always have some stories to share about my travels and what I've encountered, and
Yeah.
what I've been able to experience. And I think it stokes the fire for our travel,
Yeah.
bug, because then we always plan trips and family trips or big, small, indifferent. We always say, well, if we're gonna travel for work, we got to travel for personal. And I think that has been something that really has come out of it. But I think the net of it to me is that when you're talking about relationships, it just requires work. It requires dedication. It requires some commitment to, understand that yes, you may need some time alone or some time to, just be left with your thoughts without someone intervening. But I also think that you've learned that, well, since the kids are, are not here, and if I'm gone, it's real quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, hold on. When he here, it's always loud or something is going on.
Now you wonder why my playlist, my music playlist has changed a little bit, because when you gone, I started playing music sometimes when I'm like cooking or getting ready or whatever, and so I'm listening to different stuff. So I've added some new things to my playlist, and filled the space with a little
Yeah.
noise. You know what I mean? And so but I do think it is quiet. And thankfully, I have the dog, because I really think that if we didn't have him, I would be lonely. Because,
Yeah.
like, we go for walks, and he follows me around. He's with me when I'm working in my office. Like, that's my homie when you're not here. And
Yeah.
so, like, you may not love the dog, but
He cool.
he's my companion when you're not
Yeah,
here.
it's your child. Your third child right
He
there.
is. He is. So,
Yeah, all right.
yes, we'll keep him, won't we?
I mean, he been here this long. I mean,
He can't go nowhere.
right. I think it'd be a mutiny if I tried to get rid of this dude now.
Listen, it would be, because it'd be three against one. So, um, how would you make it worth it today, babe?
I think I know we talked a lot about travel, but this episode really is not just about travel. It's about how you navigate your relationship and how you find space for yourself and how you make space for your partner, because I think that's really the heart of what we're getting at. And sometimes, whether you travel a lot or whether you, like you said, you're at home, I think that's what we're getting to the heart of is with relationships. They require work. They require, thought. They require a lot. And you have to see, like, how to make space for yourself and make space for your partner, because that's how you will create a flow,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because sometimes, like, I know you'll come down and you'll just, sit and read in the mornings, like, especially on the weekend, because during the week we're getting up, going to the gym and stuff like that. But I think you can't forget what your need is as you're trying to meet the need of your partner, because then you'll be a better partner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's my make it worth it. What about you? What would you say?
Um, I'm gonna say, here's something I wish I had done. Because I think I struggled in the very beginning with your travel, and anything new sometimes is scary, and it's
Hmm.
uncomfortable. And our communication skills have improved over time. And so I really think what I would do differently is I would communicate, here's how I'm feeling and here's why. I feel like I didn't want to reduce or negate or, taint, if you will, your experience of travel. So I just kind of sucked it up.
Mm.
And so I probably would have communicated more in the early times. I think now it's just so much easier. What I think is the third phase, us both traveling and kind of going with each other every so often, that kind of thing, and enjoying our space. It's easy to navigate now, easier to navigate now.
Look,
So
the fact that we have to have a schedule, a calendar with both of our travel listed on it, it's like, dude,
yeah.
where are you going? Where are you going? How long are you going to be gone? How long are you going to be gone? How many trips do you have? How many trips do you have?
So that's the communication, but like I feel like we're at a comfort level with the travel itself. Like neither one of us are put off when we have to put it on the schedule. When it's busy for you, I'm like, all right, you got to take some time back. We got to kind of chill a little bit on this travel. What can we do?
And it forces us to plan.
Yeah.
Like things that we're going to do together
Right.
when we're back from these trips. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you and make it worth it.
Yeah, but I just think that that's what I would do differently, is just communicate a little bit more about what I'm experiencing as the person who was at home most of the time. And, that would have just kind of helped us navigate it a little bit better. Because I think, that first season was challenging.
Yeah.
So getting used to
Now
it
you
wasn't
out
easy.
trying to be out in them streets.
Yeah. Now we're...
On the airways yourself.
Yeah, it was interesting making that shift too. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was bad for our relationship. I think that, quite frankly, we've learned to turn that into something good that has worked for both of us. So,
And until you have done a lot of business travel, it's overrated. Okay. So don't get it twisted, people, as you listen to this. It's work.
Yeah, it is.
Come home, 11 o'clock, tired, get up, do it all over again. It's like, so this, look. But
it's not for
all
the
good.
faint of heart, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it has definitely, it's been a career choice that I've enjoyed, I've been proud of, and it's provided a good life for us. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So no regrets.
Yep.
No regrets.
But I hope you guys take something away from this and apply this to your own relationships.
Yep.
So until next time,
we're out.
Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on ForBetterAndWorth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.